Uh, uh, uh.
Oh, wait.
It's all good. Oh,
What
there
up?
she
What up?
is. I love the background.
Hi, you guys. Oh,
How
I
you
shot that.
doing?
Mm,
I shot that in Central Park during the pandemic. I don't know if
Oh,
you can
really?
see, but there's like no people in the photo, which is
Oh,
odd
Yeah,
for
that's
Central
it.
Park.
Right? Those some crazy times. I remember the first time I went down like Fifth Ave or something, and there was nobody out there.
Nobody.
all right.
That's
Tamika, this is
right.
awesome.
Long time coming. Long time coming. So welcome to episode 17 of the Homage Pod. We have a very important person here.
That's
The
right.
first, the first woman to grace the podcast is Miss Tamika Hall. You know,
Aww. And to be
yes,
fair,
yes.
you got I know we I think you guys asked me to do it, and I don't know what happened. Did the pandemic happen? Is that why we didn't do it? Or
Some fell through, but things got weird.
Yeah, I think
For
the
everybody.
pandemic, we wanted to do it in person and then we couldn't figure out the situation. You know what I mean?
right.
But
Yeah.
Wait, are you outside? Why are you trying to outdo my trees, son? Like,
this is my
And he's
patio, you
yeah, he's
know?
outside.
I got a
He's
photo
chilling.
of trees, and I'm like, wait, are those real trees in the background?
Yeah, no, that's it's a nice night. So I figured let me come out here and not disrupt the fam.
Nice. I'm
But
jealous now. I'm gonna take my picture of my trees
no,
down
I like it. I like it. You look cool.
because it's
Um,
real
but
trees.
I
but
love
for
your hat.
Thank you so much. You know where this comes from, right?
Tell me.
This was Carly Hustle's podcast.
Really?
word.
Hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Shout out to them. You know what I'm saying? They doing their thing.
Word. There's a couple. Well, we'll get to that later because we're gonna need some of your cohorts to come over here. So like Carly and
Uh,
such and other people like that. So
hmm.
we're gonna get to that later though. But first, let's more importantly, for those that might not know you, you're our plug. I like to call you the plug. But
Or
for those that don't know you, because you wear many hats. So it's like, if you can, just introduce yourself to some people that might not know you, that now would be the time to do it.
Okay. So my name is Tamika. Tamika Hall, which most people don't know that that's my name. They usually know my social media, my pen handle, which is Lady Baga.
Yep.
And so sometimes when you say Tamika, they're like, who? And then they say Lady Baga, and they're like, oh, yeah, we know who she is. So it's just that dynamic is kind of interesting because I started really on social media as that pen name, and I never really used my first name. So it's weird, like having to explain that to people. But I've been a freelance person for about 10 years. I write, I do marketing, I do digital marketing, I wrote a book. Um, Contrary to popular belief, I'm not the plug. I just know a few people
Hmm.
in
no, you
Hmm.
the
some
plug. Don't
very
doubt.
I mean, you're our plug, so yeah, whatever, to
in
them, but you're
some
our plug, not
in
everybody's
some
plug.
interesting places. I feel like wherever we want to go someplace, we can go there. Um, the house is included, restaurants, whatever. So yeah.
All right.
Now,
Go ahead though.
now, you're born and raised in New York.
I was born in Brooklyn. I was in Brooklyn for about until I was about 3, and my parents got robbed, and then they moved to Queens. And
Okay.
so we were between Queens and Brooklyn for a while. After that happened, my dad was like, "Yeah, she can't be in Brooklyn." So he moved me and my mom to Queens, and he was between the two because he works in Manhattan. And so, yeah, I
And
pretty much
What part of Brooklyn was this?
that was, I think the address I want to say is 703 Franklin Avenue.
Mm.
All
If I
right,
remember
Franklin. And
correctly, it was rank on
they broke in the
Franklin.
house. Like what they broke
Well,
in.
so my dad used to take his clothes to be dry cleaned. My dad was super bougie. And so he would take his clothes to the dry cleaner. And someone, I guess they used to deliver it like back to the house for him. And someone came with the dry cleaning and was like, "Oh, we came to bring you your clothes." And so we
Oh,
came in the house, and that's how they kind of executed. My mom was home, my dad wasn't home. So he was kind of, he was upset that the whole thing
gotcha.
happened because it was just me and my mom at home. He wasn't there.
No,
And it
that's
just kind of
wild.
went down like that. Like let me bring you your dry cleaning, but let me clean out your crib too. So
Man, and you ended up moving to Queens. And what was growing up in New York City like for Lady Blaza? Or
um
Tamika at the time, right? After you were Tamika at
yeah,
the
I
time.
wasn't Lady Gaga till like '09. That's so crazy.
Okay.
So I grew up in Rockaway, which everybody knows Rockaway / Far Rock is like the sixth borough. But at the time when I was growing up, it was like still an Irish town. So it's a lot of white people, Irish people. I was one of the few Black people in the neighborhood.
Got you.
And
So you were gentrifying the place. You were a gentrifier at the time.
at the time,
Reverse
I was
gentrifier.
no, I don't think I
Reverse
was
gentrifier.
I was like an intruder, I think. I feel
Oh
like they were
shit.
like, what is this Black person doing in this Irish town? And I remember being mad little and walking with my dad, and these white men in a pickup truck were like, you niggers, get out of the street. I was tiny, like small.
Man,
So that was
crazy.
the vibe back then. And Rockaway is still a very Irish town. It's divided up into like the very rich, the rich, white, and elite in Breezy Point. And then you have Bell Harbor, Rockaway Beach. Then you have in the middle, they put like all the Black people in the middle. So you have like the projects, Hamels, Edgemere, all those places. And then you go back out to the other end, it becomes an Orthodox Jewish community that feeds into Woodmere, Cedarhurst, and all those places. So it's really like super segmented in terms of like where people live. Well, it's always been that way. Now they're trying to filter everyone out, but that's always how it's been.
Right.
So
it's crazy how growing up in New York, you have that full experience right out your door. Like you grow up around so many different people.
Yep.
See so much crazy shit.
Yep. I watched them like basically segregate a middle school that I used to teach in. Wild shit. Like people will do anything to be like, our kids are not going to school with those people being the brown folks.
Now, how did you navigate through that? Because I know, you grew up in the middle of the hip hop era and everything, and I'm sure that influenced your trajectory as a kid and how you looked at the world. Where you wanted to go in the world. How did that? Explain to some people that might not have been around for that time. Might not have been outside.
So
how was it?
By 8th, 9th grade, by 8th grade, I started cutting school sporadically. By 9th grade, it was like a daily thing. And it's just funny that I used to cut school and come here to the Lower East Side where I live now. So it's like I used to run the streets in the lower when I was like 12, 13.
I feel like that's a birthright. It's a New York City kid birthright.
Yeah, like I feel like if you didn't do that when you were a kid, like you ain't about that life. You wasn't outside.
Right.
So
that's a fact.
We were like cutting school. We were in Washington Square Park at Unique. Canal Jean at the time was like, those are old. That whole Broadway, 8th Street was completely different than it was right now. And Tower Records was still on the corner. You had that flea market in between Tower Records, and I'm trying to remember what was next door. I want to say it was Antique Boutique.
I think there was a little kind of like a comic shop on the corner too, where you get like you get all the stuff.
The hat
patches
shop,
and all that, yeah.
The hat shop was on the corner of 8th and 6th. Like when you came out the train, you would go to the corner. Grace Papaya was there. Like that whole area is completely different than what it was from back then. But every day I would check into homeroom and then gather up my homeboys. And at the time, this kid I used to date was a skater. And he used to skate at the banks, like underneath the Brooklyn Bridge. There was this area called the Banks. And so we used to go down there and skate. And that was how I learned of like the city and music and sneaking into shows from early. The first club I went to was a Sound Factory. I was 14. It was before they even had a liquor license.
Wow.
That's that era right there.
Yeah, I was outside.
Now on the way up, like, was it always something that you thought to like document your experiences, or like sort of like what made you start contributing as a writer and then sharing those experiences along the way? Because I feel like like that's something that you do you really excel at that. Even though you wear many hats, but I know when you get in your writing bag, you really, you know, you're really in the zone. When did you realize that was something that you wanted to do?
So my dad was um, one of the art directors at Women's Day magazine. So I used to go to work with him when I was little. So I always said that I wanted to work at like a magazine or do something of the sort. He did a lot of freelance photography, a lot of freelance artwork. He created a lot of logos and stuff that you see around today. He did that. And so in my mind, I was like, that's something I always wanted to do. But as life would have it, you start doing things and then you kind of take the easy route. And so I started taking jobs and doing things just because they were easy for me to get, easier for me to do. But in the back of my mind, I would always end up like writing some shit at work. Like I went to work on Wall Street, reconciling budgets. And then I ended up writing job description, like helping them create job descriptions and writing them out and doing that type of thing. Like I always ended up back at that place. And so it's kind of like full circle because here I am. And now I work in marketing. And while, writing it's not really second because it's still something I do for the job, but it's always something that's been like in the back of my mind to do. And so, I hope that eventually I can become that woman that's sitting in a big ass house on a lake writing books and, counting my blessings and writing my books.
Sure. For sure. I mean, like you keep mentioning your father, so I definitely would like you to touch on how he influential he was in your life because I've seen some of the pictures you put up of him. He reminds me of like Clyde Frazier, how he used to dress and how dipped he used to be.
Yeah. His swag was immaculate.
He was on point. So, for people that might not, know, you can, if you could just elaborate on how influential your father was to you.
So as an only child and an only girl, I was really like both my parents are like, my mom is like my best friend, but me and my dad had like a different kind of vibe. As you guys know, because you both have girls, I believe, right? You both have daughters.
I have two girls.
Well, I have my niece. I don't have a daughter, but I have my niece already.
Well, so that relationship between a daughter and a father is like almost uncanny. Yeah. I know that's the wrong word, but it's a very different kind of relationship. And we look up to our dads. We watch what you guys do, what y'all say, et cetera, et cetera. And for me and him, because I was the only one, even though he wanted a boy, like he tried to make me do things like play basketball and shit like that. And I was just like, Dad, I'm not doing that. But he was very hell bent on making sure that whatever I wanted, you could get that. Like he was very much that person. He was like, you work hard and you make money. He's like, and if you want to buy the finer things, he was like, you buy that shit. He was like, don't think twice. And he was like, you always want to look a certain way, carry yourself a certain way. He was very much that person. And so even, more recently when I started engaging more in writing, he was super excited, like to know that these things were happening. And, as I started going through his stuff after he passed, I would look at like drafts he did of like ideas we would talk about. And he actually would sit and draft them up. And I guess in his mind, those were things that we were going to do, but he was always like preaching to me about go after what you want, never settle for second. It's never too late to do whatever it is that you wanted to do. So, yeah.
It's crazy how that sticks with you, right? Like you never really lose it, no matter what age or what the context was or what he meant. It could have been something simple, like, young at the time. I have two older sisters and because now I have two daughters now. So like I see how they looked at him is how my daughters look at me. Like they really do pay attention and they really are like, just aware of what I'm doing and how I'm,
we watch and observe everything.
Very observant. So I can appreciate what you're saying. Like, when you like to follow up what John is saying, right? Like when you started going out, being out, experiencing life, and you did, did you write anything, or were you taking pictures, or were you just like trying to like figure out a way to get all of that out, or that came like much later?
I mean, I was always a collector of things. So back then it was like journaling,
Gotcha.
but not like how they call it journaling now. So you had
Yeah.
to think like back then we were doing like slam books and we would write things about people or certain things that happen. And then as we got older, it became the whole diary era and
Gotcha.
like
Right.
writing things in diaries. And then it was journals, but not journaling with like writing prompts. It was really like, I can't stand this bitch that did XYZ. Like that's how,
Word.
like that was the
Before
first
Twitter.
sentence. And then
Expressive diaries.
yeah,
But
like you
I
start
used to
going
go
in.
sneak read
This
my
before
sister's
like
work.
memes and shit, right? Yes,
It
you
was
had to like.
nasty work.
Yeah. So
It was
it was
nasty work.
like you go there and be like, and really like you're writing and you're basically you're spilling. I would say verbal vomit, but you're not talking, like you're actually writing exactly how you felt. And I did a lot of that when I was younger. Not
That's
writing in
probably
a
a
sense that
precursor to social media. That's probably like where social media began and
Yeah.
like
no,
Twitter
100%.
trolling. Because if you go back and look
100.
at your old yearbooks, there's people that you probably look at them like 30 years later, 20 years later, like, damn, I didn't have to cross you out and be like, bitch, die. Like,
Word.
like I was like, all you did was tell me that your friend was sitting there, like you gave, and that was it. Like, we need you off the planet. That
Like
is
all the
crazy.
shade and all that stuff is in our yearbooks. It's in all those things. And I feel like even like down to saving flyers from clubs, because back then, like in the, I want to say mid 90s, like you go into a club and in order for you to go to the next spot, you had to get a flyer at this other spot. And if you ain't have that flyer, you wasn't going to the party.
Yeah.
So I used to keep like all those things and even document like things that happened. I had a whole scrapbook, pictures, all those things were always present in everything that I did. Like
In high
from
school, what was
little.
your favorite spot to go to?
Oh God.
Like nightlife type joint for a kid. I mean,
I want to say we were probably mostly still in Sound Factory because I was in Sound Factory a lot.
yeah.
After that, it became Rebar. I think it was Tuesday nights, right? It was Rebar on a Tuesday. Monday night, it was like Envy, I think. I know I'm getting the nights wrong and probably confused, but I know I wasn't out a lot on Saturday and Sunday. I was mostly out during the week. So it was like Monday. It was Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we were out. Thursday, we'd be out. Friday and Saturday, we weren't really out. And then Sunday, we'd be back out again.
That's it.
Were you a part of that group called City Kids?
No, but we knew them, but that wasn't like
okay.
that wasn't like my clique. No.
That wasn't your clique. Okay, cool. Because my older sister was a part of that, and I was just curious, like maybe.
Yeah, no, we knew them, and then but we didn't like, hey, what's going on?
Gotcha. Yeah, she used to
Kind
run
of
around.
thing.
She used to run around with like Malik Yoba and all kind of random ass
Because
people.
they were all in that little creative crew. I
That,
was in the All City High School marching band.
oh, okay.
I was like
What'd you play?
I used to wear the penguin suit.
Yeah, what'd you play?
I played the flute. I was the first flutist.
Hello.
Oh, nice.
And we marched in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade one year, and my lip it froze to the flute because that's how cold it was.
You was on
Like,
TV and all that?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
We did like Columbus Day. We did Macy's Thanksgiving. We did competitions. We did the Democratic National Convention one year. I think, was it Bill Clinton or I think it was Clinton or somebody. I don't know. I don't remember. I think it was Clinton.
Now in your like in recently, you've been putting a lot of energy into like, the future. I'd like to say, I really appreciate when people take their energy and place it into, making sure that the generations on the way have the resources that maybe we didn't have, you know. And I always like to say, as far as myself, and I think a lot of other people say, like, when when you're younger and you're like influenced by other people, or let's say you see like that cool older chick or older dude from around the way, you're like, damn, I want to be like them when I come outside. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's a part of like evolving and eventually saying like, yo, all right, you get to a space where you can share your jewels and put other people on. And I think that's one of the things I appreciate with what you're doing with Yellow Brick the most, that every time I look up, you guys have a new program that you're like pushing on the youth that's going to continue, the conversation that we having now somewhere down the line. And for those that, some people might not know about Yellow Brick, which is a really good program for people to get into.
We're just going to bounce around, Blogger. Don't worry.
Yeah, I mean, it's all good. The combo's a combo.
You guys already know how I think. So I feel like this is going to be a good conversation. So Yellow Brick, actually, I came across Yellow Brick not even by mistake. Like I knew that they existed, but I didn't know they existed in that way. And so basically what we do is we create short courses with top tier universities like NYU, FIT, and Parsons to passion careers. So let's say I want to have a job in the music industry, right? And everyone goes for the same job. I'm going to be a rapper. I'm going to be a singer. I'm going to, they want to be that person. Not realizing that there are so many jobs in the music industry that they could have. So you can be an engineer, you can be a producer, you can be a music journalist, you can be a entertainment lawyer. There's so many things that you can do. And
just a good old weed carrier.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like that shit is legal now. So technically you are right. That is a job.
Yeah, like, yo,
you could own the dispensary. You could own a dispensary, right? And the record label could employ you and you can make sure that the artists have what they need, rolled in all that. So you're right. We got to add that to the course. No. But, and basically we create these courses so people can save themselves, I guess, the headache of trying to figure out what they want to do. So I don't know about y'all, but when I was in college, I changed my major like 3 times, I want to say, before I really settled into, let me finish this degree and get out of here. Like some people know, and that's cool. You go to school, you want to do that. That's fine. But some of us go in and we're like, okay, I want to be a lawyer. 2 years in, we're like, I don't know if I like this. This is kind of lame. I think I want to do this. And then you start doing that. And then you get into that. You're like, these courses are trash. And then you're like, I want to try something else. Yeah. So these courses are designed to really give people the foundation to kind of explore all of that. And then say, okay, when they're done, they have a certificate. They can either jump into the job role or maybe get a full-blown degree. But at least they know now, like, okay, now I know I want a job in music. I know that I want to be an engineer. Or, now that I went through this course in fashion, now I know I want to be not so much a designer, but maybe sourcing fabric or whatever. Like you have a better idea of what you want to do. And I think for me, being a teacher, because I was a teacher too for 10 years in between Wall Street and marketing. And if that's not a testament to knowing what you want to do, then I don't know what it is. Right. But I taught for 10 years and a lot of my students, I taught middle school, then I taught high school. And trying to get students to focus on what they want to do next steps was so hard. And then the other side to that conversation is a lot of their parents didn't graduate college. A lot of their parents didn't go to college. Some of their parents didn't even go to high school or finish high school. Yeah. So that higher education conversation is probably not happening at home.
Yeah.
Right. So these type of courses give them, oh, I could do that when I finish this. Now it gives them something else to look forward to,
That's a fact.
And that's that's the kind of prep that some of these kids need because, this is our future. Like this is next gen. And
I 1,000% agree. I wish Yellow Brick was around when I was young and I fucked up and I dropped out of school. And, I'm all about passion projects. And you see, I'm trying to do all of these different things. And a lot of these, I could probably still go for these certificate programs and help in this journey. I didn't know about making clothes, right? I wish I knew about sourcing, I just had to go about it all the wrong way. So yeah, the fact that that platform is there and you're contributing, that's amazing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. But you have to think too, like your story and how you got to where you got and how you entered into that part of the industry is still a lesson for somebody else. So even you telling the story of how you got to where you are, you have to think is a source of inspiration for somebody. You know, someone's going to hear you tell your story and be like, wow, I didn't know that, you know.
I mean, it's probably you know, like don't do it my way. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, you know.
But when I say that, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a
yeah,
source of inspiration that people will
sure.
say, okay, you went through that. You know, I can still do.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, you know, because people think their hurdle is the biggest hurdle, right?
Right.
They think whatever they dealing with, oh, I can't get this, my shit won't pop. It's like, well, just try. I came from the days where nobody would tell you where to get a blank from. You know what I mean? Like, forget a million fucking IG ads telling you, hey, make a hat for $5.99 here. You know, I went to Magic in Vegas and I had to use somebody else's credential to sneak in just so I could see what sourcing was and all that kind of shit. You know, all of those things, printing out in the wrong places and getting overcharged and then moving on to like trying to do film and television and not knowing how to do any of that stuff. And the fact, and now, you know, dabbling in music, right? I mean, I don't do music, but I'm helping people do their music. So like, I wish I had Yellow Brick or, you know, someone or something that I could tap into. So the fact that you're doing that, but yeah, I want to double back, right? Like real quick. So what was the environment working on Wall Street?
Wall Street is a male dominated industry. It is no place for women and a Black woman at that. And so my exit from Wall Street was when I got pregnant with my son, and not my boss directly, because she was one of my first bosses that she and I are still friends. Like, we still talk. And she was super, like, I guess, motivating, and she would push us. She had an office full of women, and she was like, you girls are going to learn to do XYZ. And she was hell bent on making sure that we were successful in that space. However, her boss, who was an older white man, when I got pregnant with my son, you have to request like maternity leave. So I was trying to be proactive and say, hey, you know, I need about 3 months, which I thought was fair. You know, I didn't ask for like a year or whatever, 3 months. And I was like, you can send a messenger to my house. I can still reconcile budgets from home. You know, you would just have to call me. You know what I'm saying? 3 months. Yeah. He was like, you don't need 3 months. He was like, you don't need 3 months for maternity leave. I was like, what? He was like, why can't you just take 6 weeks? He's like, this is why women can't work here. He was like, because I need you here. He was like, every day. He was like, what am I going to do?
Crazy.
He was like, what am I going to do without you for 3 months? I was like, I don't know.
Keep living and figuring it out. You figure it out.
Hire a temp. I was like,
shit you were doing before you got there, right? Like,
right. I was like, I don't know. And so he was like, you know, he told me a story about women in Korea and how they picked rice. And he was like, you know, when they're pregnant, they basically just walk into a grassy knoll. He was like, and they squat and give birth. He was like, they clean themselves up, and you know what they do? He's like, they go back and they continue picking rice. And I was like,
I'm gonna guess he was definitely never been a Korean. He just picked. What was his business?
Yeah, he was just like telling a story, like trying to tell me basically that I was being a baby for asking for 3 months.
What was your response?
I was like, okay. Oh wait, it gets better. So he was like, my office is here in the corner. He's like, when you're ready to give birth, he's like, you could just come here and squat under the desk. And he laughed, ha ha ha, laughing. And I was like, Sam. He was like, I know that was a bad joke. He was like, but you're not getting 3 months maternity leave. So what he did was he pushed up my promotion so that it was around the time that I had asked for the time off. And he was like, if you're not working when your promotion is up, like when they call you for promotion, he's like, you're not going to get it, because he thought that was going to make me like take a shorter leave.
Yeah.
No. So that was my exit. He also told me that my name was he was like, you have a very ethnic name. Like he literally schooled me to wild shit that I didn't know. And we would just have these ridiculous candid conversations. But you have to think, this was back in like 97.
Yeah, this is pre-Me Too movement.
This was right. So I'm listening to him.
Pre
and I'm just
all
like,
of that. Pre politically correct. Pre
right,
a lot of
all of it.
Yeah.
And I would just listen to him and be like, okay, what? So I came home and I told my mom, and I was like, why did you name me that? And I was like, you know what Sam said? Mother was like, what? Because he was like, your name is so ethnic. He was like, did your parents not think that you would need to get a job? He was like, if I would have saw your resume before I knew who you were, he was like, I would have put that right in the trash.
Savage.
Then he was like, did you go to one of those HBCUs? And I was like, I didn't. I said I wanted to, but so I told him I went to SUNY Albany. He was like, thank God. And I was like, oh my.
That's crazy. He was working for what's his name from All in the Family, Archie Bunker type.
Yeah, like it was really wild to hear him say these things, but he was really telling me how people think. Like people really think that way, which is crazy. Yeah. And even to date, like people still think that way.
For sure.
Well,
for sure, that ain't changed.
This ain't Korea, and fuck that guy. Right?
Yeah, fuck that.
I think he died. I think he passed away of some kind of thing. I want to say it was a disease, but I'm not sure.
Well, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. That if he's telling you, look, I don't know a lot. I'm not book smart, but I know people, right? What he was giving you a glimmer of what his real fucking thought process was and what other people like him were thinking. So if he was that forthcoming with that kind of information in the office with you there and all that kind of shit, who knows what the hell is going on when you're not there? But like you said about what I did or whatever, we live, we learn, we move on, we get better, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? We get better decisions. So you motherhood began, right? And then how soon after did you become in the education world?
So my son was about 2. My son was 2, so Zashel was 8, 10. Yeah, so he was about 2. And I went to teach. I went back to my old middle school. I went to my old principal and I was like, so he's like, oh my God, this is great. And so back then, it was 99 was the first year I taught. And back then you could get a teaching license with just a nomination. So you could go to a principal if you had like an opening in a school and he would nominate you for the position. And then you would go get like a temporary teaching license, but you'd have to do it with like a teaching plan. So you had to take like all these different courses and be on a road to be getting your master's degree in teaching. So now I'm like, I definitely don't want to do this for a really long time. So I'm not getting a master's degree. Let me just do this for now and figure out what to do next. Long story short, I got a master's degree, ended up teaching for 10 years. And
summer's off, 180 days a year, summer's off.
No, I taught summer school.
Oh damn, you went hard.
I taught summer school because my students, so they gave me like the worst classes because I was new. So they kind of hazed me a little bit. So I would get like the worst classes in the school. But they also became like, I was so vested in seeing them be successful. And so I think like 2 years after I started teaching, they stopped social promotion. So that meant you had to actually take the test and pass.
That was when they started implementing the regents and stuff like that. And to get out of high school.
These kids have been skating the whole time. And so now they came to a hard stop in 8th grade. Some of them really legit had no reading skills.
Yeah. I came across the same issue in when I was in the education field too, with a lot of kids that were socially moved on, and then when I came to the end, it was like starting all over for them.
Like you literally had to start from scratch. And so I knew like a good 5, 6 of them were gonna be stuck and had to go to summer school. And I also knew that teachers in summer school really didn't give a shit. They were only coming for like the extra paycheck because you get paid in the summer, but you also get like a second paycheck in the summer. Yeah. So I was like, no. So I told my principal, I was like, I'll teach summer school, but give me my kids, and then I'll make sure that they get out. And so that's what I did. I taught summer school every year while I taught in the city. And then when I went to Long Island, summer school in Long Island is like a privilege. And they're like, if you're not like in with the principal, you're definitely not teaching summer school.
Really?
It's a whole teaching in Long Island is a whole different bag.
I'm sure they pay them a nice little extra to do that too. So yeah, they be off to the races for that.
Yep.
Off to.
Yep. That shit is a whole different bag.
So you did that for about 10 years before like, but I guess then from then that's where the Lady Blogger was created.
Hold on, real quick, Tamika. What was the best part of teaching? What was the worst part of teaching?
I think the best part of teaching for me was actually showing my students things they didn't know. So like I taught in Rockaway, right? And you would think simple things like them knowing that you take that A train into the city, it's going to take you to the city. Yeah. Those kids didn't leave their 2-block radius. And so I was always doing things off the cuff. And like, they knew that Christopher Columbus was a fraud. They knew all that shit. And I would get in trouble all the time because my principal was like, you have to teach them. And I said, listen, I'm going to tell them the real story and we'll read what's in the book and they can answer the questions, but I'm not telling them this shit. Like I was always in trouble for that kind of stuff. And I didn't have a problem with it because even from back then, I was like teaching kids like the lie. My parents didn't teach me to lie. Like my parents would tell me at home the truth. And so I was like, I can't lie to these kids. And so I would tell them, how would you feel? You know what I'm saying? If some white dude came with his homies and they came to your door in Hamels and they knocked and was like, yo, we live here now and sat on your couch. And some of the responses, of course, were like off kilter because they'd be like, yo, blank, yo, we would get to this and blah, blah, blah. But it made them understand how that whole thing happened. And so from then I can explain to them, like, you know, we hear the story as this, but how can you discover something when people already lived here? Like those for me were moments that, and the kids were like, oh my God. And then showing them like, you know, the Statue of Liberty is here. It's a train ride away. You know, here's Ellis Island. Here's all these things that, you know, we talk about in the class. It's right here. And showing them and just the expression on their face and just them being happy that they can apply what we talk about in the classroom to stuff that they're really looking at. Like those were, for me, those were like the moments. And I still see them in the street sometimes when I go back to Rockaway and they'll still remember things that I did or said in the classroom, which is crazy. And even some of them still on the corner and they'll take off their hat. Oh my God, yo, here comes Miss Hall. And they'll still take the hat off. And like, yo, she coming, take your shit off, bro. Take that shit off. And they'd be like, what's up, Miss Hall? How you doing? And some of the other kids would be like, what the fuck you doing? They'd be like, nah, it's Miss Hall, take that shit off, son. And the other kids be like looking at them like, what are you talking about? And they're like, nah, just take it off. Like, I'll tell you later, kind of thing.
I bet they wish they had more teachers like you.
No, and that's the part. Like, more teachers. I know it's a lot of work, and you don't get the support. And I know how draining it is, but you got to think about it's the kids that we're working for. We're not working for them. And so, yeah, I used to spend money making copies because we didn't have books, or, you know, I would go buy books because we didn't have books, but it's for them. It's not for me, you know?
And especially that age group you're teaching too, right? They can actually take that information and do something with it. Like you said, you know, as opposed to
I feel like middle school is make or break. That age is make or break. It's like if kids are going to drop out of school, if they don't have that proper middle school like foundation, when they get to high school, they out. They're not doing nothing else.
Yeah, 8th graders were probably my favorite grade to teach. They, you know, my 8th graders were pretty cool. I'd agree with that. Middle school was live. The kids are funny.
Yeah, and then they'd be like, it was always like, you don't know shit, Miss Hole, but they know everything. And they would try to challenge me, and I'd be like, let me explain something to you. And then I was the teacher that had to break up fights. When I knew the kids had beef, I'd be like, yo, when y'all come to my class, we fighting in my room. I'm like, we gonna cover the windows and we gonna open the desk and we gonna get it popping. They'd be like, what?
They weren't ready for all that. They weren't ready.
They'd be like this. We're not doing that. I said, no, we are. I said, because this is not going on. Like that was sort of like a mediation. They would come to the class, nobody want to fight.
Yeah, the usual. And then like so what led into Lady Blogger from that? Like where did you realize that, from teaching that there was another path for you? So
To be
you say
honest.
they gassed you into teaching, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got me. And then I ended up
Got
staying
you.
for 9 years longer than I said I was going to. But then I started freelance writing and I just kind of went with it. I had to take another leave because now I was pregnant with my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And they were like, all right, so you have to take, I had to take a year off from work.
Got you.
And I was like, a whole year?
And
Who
what
has
was the
money?
Tamika,
first thing?
hold
What was
on.
the first
Let these
thing?
people know you
Hold
a
on.
super mom. All right, let's not underplay this shit. How
I was
many
like this.
children do you
Who
have?
I was like, who has money to stay home for a whole year?
Tamika, you're a mother of how many?
Oh, 6.
Wow.
Right.
Salute
My
to that. I
oldest,
wish I had a clap button.
my oldest is an iron worker for Local 40.
Shout out to
She
him.
is
Shout her.
it's a
Her.
girl.
Shout out to her. I'm sorry.
She is an iron worker. See, you thought it was a
She.
dude because
No,
I
I
said
just
iron
no,
worker.
because when you said your son in '97, I thought he was the
Oh no, he's not the first.
Okay, I'm sorry. Well, she. Shout out to her.
Yeah,
Shout
she's
out
an
to
iron
her
worker.
getting busy.
And my youngest one is in 3rd grade and she harasses me every day for Robux. So it's like iron worker begging for Robux. It's like 2 different
And
dynamics.
you might have to send her to her older sister and let her harass her.
But she does. She'd be like, I'm gonna send it to you, but just tell mommy to send it to you first.
Those Robux are
So
gonna make her rich, though. Don't worry about it.
It better
what
because I'm broke.
motherhood played a role in you seeking out freelancing, or is that it
No,
sort of led you there?
100%. Because now at this point, I was like, well, what am I gonna do? Because I had to stay home.
Yeah.
And if I have to stay home for a year, I'm not, childcare was crazy at the time. Like my boys were in school, so I didn't have to worry about them too much. But the little ones, like childcare was like $1,800 a month.
Yeah.
That's like rent.
You're working just to pay it.
So I was like, I have to figure this out. So I started, seeing what else there was to do. And I had actually created like a blog with my Spanish class because I taught the region Spanish class. And so to help them with their writing skills, because you have to write that essay,
Mm-hmm.
we had a blog site with a school in Spain. And so instead of us sending the emails, we would do blog posts every day. So one time our class would write one and then the other class would write one and we went back and forth.
Mm.
And so I started looking around and you figure 09, Twitter was like just bubbling. Mm-hmm. So I started looking for other things for us to do. And I started stumbling across all these different things. And I ended up connecting with the Mad bloggers. I don't know if you remember them from way back then. It was 2 dudes. And I used to always argue with them about music and sports. And it was 2 guys, and guys always be like, you don't know about sports, you know about music. And we would go back and forth with each other all the time. And so on Twitter, we would not argue for real, but like, go back and forth. And then, and then they were like, would you want to write with us? Like we feel like we need like a woman's perspective. Because it's just me, it's just, it's the 2 dudes. And they were like, we feel like we need a woman's voice. So they sent me like a little questionnaire and I answered it. And they're the ones, actually, OC was the one who coined Lady Blogger and gave me that name because it was the Mad bloggers, it was the 2 of them. And so they named me Lady Blogger because I was the only girl. I was the lady, the woman of the bunch. So,
got you.
2010, Lady Blogger was born.
Is there any like something, let's say like something you wrote that stood out, and you say, oh, like I'm kind of good at this, like, or that guy that popped off that you say that people noticed?
What was the first? I think I used to do a lot of underground music commentary and like reviews, and people would trust my judgment as far as that was concerned. But then I wrote an open letter to Tiger Woods when he cheated on his wife. Do you remember that? Like,
oh yeah,
way back then.
Of course.
And Global Grinds stole it and posted it on their site. right?
Wow.
And at the time, I want to say his name is Michael Skolnick.
Yeah, we know him. I know who Michael Skolnick is.
He was the like editor-in-chief or something. And so my friend was like, she had texted me and she was like, or she BBM me, not text, because back then it was BBM.
Shout out
Yep,
to
like
BBM.
that.
She was like, I didn't know that you were writing for Global Grind now. And I was like, what are you talking about? So now she sends me the link to the post and I was like, I didn't write that for them. I was like, I wrote that for them. And then I started looking and they used to steal a lot of people's work and just like repost it and put it on the site. So I don't know if it was stealing per se, but they were reposting things that other people had already written. So I went on Twitter and I was like, bro, no.
Oh, so they
And
stole
there was a typo at the bottom. There was a typo at the bottom. And I was like, bro, you gonna steal the shit? You ain't gonna fix the typo at the bottom? I'm like, how you got me out here looking bad 2 times? Like,
they can't even copy and paste right.
So we got into a big thing and then he DM'd me and he was like, listen, he's like, we can talk about this. He's like, give me a call, let's figure it out. And then he was like, you can contribute here to whatever, this, and this. I want to make it right, blah, blah, blah. And so I started contribute. That's how I started contributing for them.
Wow.
And then it just kind of snowballed from there. But I was like, how are you going to steal something I wrote, even a typo? Like, but that was the thing back then. Like, that was what people were doing, I guess.
So now, you know, all that, I'm sure there's a lot of space in between then and now, but fast forward to now and we have your book coming out this year, right? So
well, it's now coming January, in January of 22.
But it's available for pre-order and
yes,
as of now, right? And it's Black Mixologist.
Black Mixolent.
Black Mixolent. My bad.
Okay. Well,
Black Mixolent.
Black Mixolent, yeah.
And now see there's a lot of layers to Black Mixolent. So why don't you explain some of that, because there's a lot of people don't know what that is, right? Like, what is Black Mixolent?
So the word mixolence was coined as a cross between mixology and excellence, obviously. So you get Black Mixolence because it's Black mixology, excellence, etc. The book is basically a showcase of Black mixologists, both past and present, who have had an impact on mixology, which a lot of us don't even realize how much of a role we as Black people played in mixology and the service industry, because we don't make the connection to the two, but we've been service providers to this country almost off rip.
Probably created service providing in this country and donned the whole,
the whole shit, the whole thing.
Yeah, the do's and don'ts of it.
Did you get to do a lot of like background preparatory work by tasting a lot of different drinks for this?
I think I've been doing lifetime research on mixology.
All right, cool. That's what's up.
But for the book, I basically found mixologists who now were like super popular. And I've written in my course of writing things, I've done a lot of branded work for spirits. And so in my time that I've worked, I can count on one hand how many Black mixologists I've encountered in that way, like doing things that were presenting cocktails, that were creating cocktails, that own bars, that had a brand, one hand.
Right.
And you figure, you know, it's just not, a lot of people don't think it's an area where Black people are prevalent or important, but there really are a lot of us like killing shit in that industry.
And some of the original recipes were created by Black people, right? So like that they're definitely not owned and given credit for them. But I know that a lot of those major recipes for, you know, like, is Jack Daniels one of them?
So the story of Uncle Nearest and Jack Daniels is, you know, that he worked with him, and Uncle Nearest was actually the person who created the distillation process for whiskey for that particular. And Jack Daniels came along, which is not his real name. You could read the book to find out what his real name was, but we're gonna call him Jack Daniels for now. He started working for the person who owned the distillery, became friends with Uncle Nearest, and you know, as the story is told, Uncle Nearest gave him the recipe.
Yeah, okay.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And what year was this?
Yeah, what year was this?
Going back to
It
that
was
Christopher
that
Columbus
time.
talk.
I want to say he retired. I think it was 18. I want to say,
Oh, get
was
the
it
fuck out of here.
18?
In no damn way he gave him
64,
shit.
84,
He
1864, I think he retired.
Mm-hmm.
So
He gave him the
right.
recipe.
No
We
doubt.
all can fill in the blanks, but
Yeah.
we'll hear the story that's being told.
Yep.
Long story short, he created the distillation process. He's the brains behind that situation. And
Okay.
cool. Jack Daniels took it, he sold it, they made a brand, it's huge, whatever. But again, who gets the credit for that?
Yeah. Yeah, and definitely Uncle Neris, he deserves some PC, and his family definitely deserves some PC.
Well, they now
Wow.
they now have a brand that they do. So I have 100 proof bottle,
Wow.
which
Okay.
I bought by mistake. I bought mistake. I bought it by mistake because I was like, I needed it for a virtual happy hour thing. And I was like, let me just have that bottle of Nearest. And I took it. And when I read it, I was like, 100 proof. I was like, Jesus Christ, what?
Yeah.
And it definitely lives up to the hype.
Yeah.
I think I made two drinks.
You gotta try it. You gotta try that.
I made 2 drinks and I was like, this ain't it.
Now, Uncle Nero. Yeah, that's. I mean, I'm sure there's a million other stories like that.
No,
I can
100%.
only imagine.
100%.
I can only imagine.
I don't have all of them in the book. I
Yeah,
picked the ones that I feel like people could identify with now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And like, there's a woman who worked during Prohibition that's in the book. And Prohibition, you know, leans on the whole speakeasy era where we still have speakeasies today. I was just in one last month, actually, in the one on the one line in the in the train station. It's a bar that's in the train, and you go in from the street, but when you leave out, you're in the train station. And I was like, so many times I've walked past this door and had no idea that potentially that could be a bar.
Sure. You gotta put us on later.
Yeah, you gotta hit that up.
Yeah, it's on the one line. It's on the one line going downtown.
See, I think it's dope that you can dive into something like, you know, like Black excellence that is generations removed from us. Maybe at one point it wasn't even something that you were necessarily interested in, and find the depth and beauty within that. You know what I'm saying? I think that's really solid right there. And at the same time, you know, we've grown into where how can I say our interests that we grew up loving are now, you know, industries per se. So it's like, you know, like you at Yellow Brick, you have things for kids that want to design sneakers, want to learn about fashion, want to get into music. There's just all kind of things that when we were growing up is shit that your parents would be like, man, turn that shit off, open a book or something. And, you know, like, there's no money in there. Like, I don't know what you and your friends wasting your time with. And now these are all the things that, you know, you could take serious. You know, you can take serious and help change other people's lives with. So I think it's honorable that you're out there doing it.
No, you are.
I hope so. You know, it's like if I know that one of my students decided to she moved across the country. And she DM'd me on Instagram and she was like, I remember when you told us in class that we should not live within the box, like always step outside of the box. And she was like, well, I decided to pack up my shit and go across. And I was like, what? I said, you remember that? She was like, yes, remember we were going on the trip? And they were like, why are you taking us? They were complaining because we had to go on the train. Because I was like, no, we're taking the train. We're not taking the bus.
Yeah.
And the other teachers were like, aren't you afraid to lose kids? And I was like, no. I said, they know better than to not be.
Problem.
I said they know better than to not be.
If I lose them,
like you gotta find them.
If they parents' problem, not mine.
But I didn't have those kind of issues with the kids. Like the teachers would take kids on trips and come back with half the class. Like, and I would tell them, we are leaving here with this many. Yeah. We will return here with this many. The end. That's it. Like, So we never had that. So they were complaining and hemming and hawing about having to take the train. And I was like, look, sometimes you have to move outside of your comfort zone.
It's a fact.
You know, and I said, we're taking the train today. I said, I don't want to take the train. I said, I have a car. I said, I could drive to the city. Like, I don't want to take the train with y'all. I said, but I want you to learn. I said, because there's a lesson in learning how to take the train.
Yep.
Word.
I said, you need to know that you get on this train, you go this route. You know, I wanted to show them because a lot of them really had no idea. And so that was a whole lesson, taking the train for like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's life skills. Life skills
basic
are
shit.
super important. Yeah, like a lot of people, not even kids, a lot of people think, you know, they take that for granted. But just like, yeah, you know, you're gonna ride the train, people are gonna mind their business, you're not gonna die, you're gonna get to and from wherever the hell you're going. Just chill, you know.
And then that year, that particular class, a lot of them applied for high schools that were in the city. Like that next year, we had to do high school selection. It was a 7th grade class. That next year, we did high school selection, and most of them wanted to go to school now in the city. They didn't want to go to school in Rockaway, because most of us that lived in Rockaway, we went to school in Beach Channel. I got accepted to school. I got accepted to Townsend Harris. I also was an Edward G. Oliver Scholar, which I declined because I wanted to go to school with my friends. And my parents let me do that.
How young were you when you were commuting? Because I started taking the train pretty early. I'm like at least 9, 10 years old.
You figure I was cutting school in 8th grade, so I was on the trip. Like my parents weren't allowing it, but I was on the train. Yeah. I was 8th grade.
Yeah, I learned how to commute from Harlem to the Bronx at a super young age. Like
I was on the train 8th grade, and my mom didn't know. I mean, she knows now because I'll tell her like little stories.
Yeah,
she'll be like, "Really?" Like still wild, annoyed about it.
It's kind of wild the shit that I mean, like it's a catch-22 when you think about now how people look at the kids, the activities that their kids like doing compared to some of the things we do. I mean, I see a lot of people complain about like the kids on TikTok and doing. I'm like, yo, when we were the age, we was like dancing pretty sexual to some fucking reggae or something. Like we was. I don't know if you want your kids doing that. You probably want them on TikTok doing those simple dances. And,
yeah, if TikTok is the big problem, we
were trying to catch dubs. We were out here trying to catch dubs at 14, 13.
Was the red light. It was the red light cutout parties. It was what else we were doing? Like 7 Minutes in Heaven in like 6th grade, right? 6th, 7th grade. It was that. It was
all kind of crazy.
Too much shit going on.
All kind of craziness. So I just
I don't want my kids doing that.
Yeah, as I'm saying.
Yeah, I go turn on TikTok and go watch a YouTube unboxing or something.
But I think there was a form of curiosity that we had because we didn't have access the way they do now. So maybe they don't necessarily have to do those things because the things that they're trying to learn, they can just Google, right? Like, so they don't have real experiences, which is good and bad, right? For certain things, you know. But speaking of experiences, right? Go ahead.
I feel like kids miss that part. Like us being outside and having those experiences it brings a different air to a childhood, you know? Like, I don't know what I would do if all I had was like a phone and all this, and I wasn't outside, even though I wasn't outside like that until I was roaming around on my own because my mom was like, "You're not going outside." But then when I started doing it, like cutting school and doing it, it was like a different thing. And so
or even like your first little boo you had, like you didn't see them, you didn't see their whole feed. you know, you can see, like you met someone, you were like, oh shit, like I might like this person, like, you know, and now you might see the whole feed, see the whole years of their feed before you even realize anything. So it's that's definitely different. You know,
social media feeds nowadays, they're ruining lives.
Yeah.
Like you find someone's old social media feed, you're like, where? That's what? Really? Got it.
Listen, as a writer, you got to be even more aware, right? You on Twitter going hard.
I mean, I used to be very not nice on Twitter. Like I was a Twitter bully back in the day. Sort of, kind of.
Yeah.
Like when I first got on Twitter, and then because I was always having to fight with dudes. Like they would always challenge me about what I knew about sports, what I knew about music, and they're like, "Girls don't know about that shit," you know. And then they hated that I was a Celtics and a Patriots fan, so I used to catch
Man, I
shit
was
for that.
hoping you wouldn't mention that word. I wasn't gonna mention that. I was hoping you didn't mention the C word.
No, I used to catch a lot of shit. Like dudes would be like cursing me out and all kind of stuff, and look, it was.
As we doing this now, I see a rumor on Twitter right now that y'all made a deal for Julio Jones, the Patriots.
Lord, I don't want to. I'm trying not to read it, and I don't love that idea, and I'm kind of annoyed at the direction that the Patriots went after Brady left. But it's still my team. I still love
Killer Cam up there. Yeah, all right.
I do love Tampa Bay. I do have a Tom Brady Tampa Bay jersey in my closet.
You celebrated the win or no? You kind of just like.
I was like, yay! My quarterback won.
We have 2 of your rings, so it's cool.
Word to mother. Like, I'm a Giants fan, so I have no issues with Tom Brady.
It was nice talking to you guys. Good night.
It's all good. Nah, that's love.
No, but yeah.
I feel you. So you've been battling that on Twitter, off Twitter.
What's up with that? Hold on, I gotta ask you, what's up with that? You born and raised in New York. How did you become a
Boston fan?
No, I don't say that word. A BC fan or a B fan.
I went to
whatever.
Where I went to college, I hung out in a bar. The bar that I hung out in college was a Boston bar, and so even the I think the Giants at the time.
You went to school in Albany, though, right? In Albany.
I did, right, but one of the bars that I hung out was a Boston bar, 100%.
Gotcha.
And the Giants would work out at our athletic facility because it was like a big thing.
Yeah.
And I would just be like,
"Oh wow!" So you just didn't like the players. You didn't like the players that working out at the facility
at all, and we would taunt them, like make fun of them. We wear Patriots jerseys. It was very bad. Like I'm surprised.
This is rooted in hatred, basically. Okay.
No, it's not hate.
No, I'm messing with you.
I was a Bears fan for a while earlier, and then my dad tried to make me a Knicks fan, and
come home. Word up, come home. What's up with you?
That didn't happen. He would take me to the Garden to watch the game, and I would always root for the opposing team.
Oh my!
Regardless of who it was.
Oh my god!
Goodness. The fuck is going on?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You baby girls acting up, giving her dad a hard time. That's all that's.
He'd be like,
yeah.
And I'd be like, no. But they would always lose when we went. So, I mean, they won a couple of times, but
we're in the playoffs now. We in the playoffs now. So
after she stopped going to games, we turned up. So there you have it. We turned up. She stopped going to games, and we turned up.
I'm sure he went up there. He went up there. All the Knicks fans that probably passed, they were like, all right, y'all owe us this. Because we up here now watching y'all play, like, so they're up there pulling some kind of strings or something. Because
it's going down.
I don't know. At least y'all gonna make it. Y'all definitely making out of round one. I feel like Atlanta got lucky with that first win, but y'all look decent.
Yeah.
Yeah. It got a little controversial last night. Got a little controversial last night, but
I didn't watch. I only saw at the end that y'all won.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
Yo, Doe, you started off this podcast by calling her the plug, right? And she tries to downplay it, but it's the truth.
Plug.
Right? Because there's a few stories, but it's probably one you don't even know, though. Like, so I go to a Grammys party. I go to a Grammys party.
What are you doing at a Grammys party?
Just moving around, you know what I'm saying? And I go in there and I'm like a little, I'm cool, but I'm a fish out of water sometimes. You know what I mean? So
oh my God, I forgot about that.
And I'll go and I see you there. And you're like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, what are you doing here? Like, you know what I'm saying? And sure enough, person I was with, he has a lot of connections or whatever the case may be, but he starts floating around and doing what you do. You like, no, come sit over here. You with us. And I'm looking around and it's like famous person, famous person, famous person. It was them. You had the twins that do the dance moves.
Oh
that was on America's Got Talent and all kind of shit. I was like, who is all these people? Like,
oh no, hold on. You were hanging with the twins?
Yeah.
Yes,
that was the night.
Nah, those are bros,
that was the
man.
night that we were.
I should have.
Oh, that's right, upstairs at whatchamacallit. What was the name of that place that we were?
It's a hotel. I forgot.
Yeah, we were up on the top.
Hotel?
No, it's not a hotel. It's like a venue space or something.
Yeah, it's like a venue space.
What is it?
Bro, she just made me feel so comfortable, immediately plugged me in. And then it's obviously Miami, right?
Oh yeah, that was fun.
That
was fun.
We all go to Art Basel. We stay at a big house. We're all together. It's a lot of us. And we wanted to move around. So we wanted to go to one of the better parties was at Soho House in Miami. But it's a lot of us.
Allegedly.
It was but there was like 12. Wasn't there like 12 of us?
There was a lot of us. Yeah, it was like 10. It was like 11, 12 of us. And we pull up. It's Phantom, Lamborghini, blah, 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 blah. Everybody and their mother, it's young models with older, rich dweebs, right? The whole shebang. As much as you can like imagine what this scene would look like.
Yeah, it was going down.
It was going down. So we walk up and immediately, I'm a pessimist with all this kind of shit. So I go, hey, we ain't getting in this fucking place. We walk up, the lady looking at the
plug. The plug.
Lady Blogger walks up.
I was like, just wait here. I was like, wait here.
Wait here. I said, where's she going? 2 seconds later. All right, come on. And it's a mob of us passing a lot of people to get into this place. We go up there.
Yeah, that was a good night. I think I was crushing on Rosario Dawson that night.
It was Rosario Dawson.
She was in there too.
People,
so it was somebody I was like,
Yeah, it was a fun party. And then the best part, it was open bar. So that was it. That was all I needed to hear.
No, but yeah, she's definitely the plug.
Was that the night that we were doing I think we were doing tequila shots, right?
Yeah, we did a bunch of tequila shots.
So
God. Definitely were.
That
was a good night. And I think we need to go back this year because it's been a long time. So I think
we already have I think
we need to speak it into existence.
That's in the works. Either we get the same big house that we had and we do like an Art Basel revisit.
Yeah.
A reunion. Art Basel reunion.
Like a reality show.
No Bert and Ernie room.
But I feel like and please don't slam my hand in the van door.
That ain't us.
Yeah, no comment. No comment.
We're gonna keep your hands from getting hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Don't worry, we protect the plug.
Yeah, we're gonna protect the plug for sure.
I always think about that.
But Tamika, I'm really appreciative though, because like, I'm so in this journey of trying to like achieve all these dreams that I want to do, right? And one of them big dreams is like film. Not that I want to make movies, but I want to be in a producing film and even something like Tribeca. You were like, yo, Jess, I got tickets here. And I was like, oh shit. I'm like, how does she just have all these random screening tickets and all these speaker event tickets? And I don't mean it. Fuck, who cares how you got it? Like, you got it.
I've worked with a lot of different people. I've done a lot of different things, and I try to keep those relationships like tight. Like you always want to keep those things intact. And so I know that if they ever reach out to me and they're like, yo, we need this done. Can you XYZ? Can you help us with this? Can you? And I'm like, sure, yeah, I got it, whatever. Everyone doesn't have that luxury, but if they come and look to me to assist with a job or getting some kind of writing done or whatever, I'll do it. And they always remember that I did that. And so they always like return the favor. And I try not to ask for favors too. Like when you start asking for favors too much, I feel like you've exhausted your space, your purpose. Like you really save those for shit that you really need. And so I know that if I walk up someplace and I'm like, hey, so-and-so is here, and I can say that and people will come because I'm not the person that's going to ask like every time.
You're going to be name dropping.
Right. So I feel like that's worked in my favor too. And then I just like kind of navigate the space on my own. I just be like, I don't my dad told a story about I don't wait on lines. So he did that. Like he forced that upon me. He was like, I've never waited on a line in my life. He was a DJ back in the day at Leviticus. And I used to be I was in the green room once with Rick James, my mom.
Yeah.
I was like, I was tiny. I had no business in the green room, mind you.
Yeah, for sure.
But my parents had to go to my mom was like, I'm going to the party. My dad was DJing. My mom's like, I'm coming. And I was upstairs. And my dad will tell you to this day, like, well, he can't tell you, obviously, because he's not here, but he's always like, there's no lines. And, you know, if you have to wait on a line, it's not worth getting in. Because if you're important, you already be in there. So I feel like the same
player.
Like the same way. So,
you know,
like a line.
I'm glad you saying that too, right? Because my oldest daughter, you know, she's big girl now. She's 18, right? And I try to include her in a lot of things that we do. You know what I'm saying? When we shot a pilot, I made her work. I made her be a PA on the set. She wasn't built for that, but I made her do it, and she appreciated it. You know, got up at 4 a.m. I'm like, all right, this is what you got to do. Blah 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 blah. She was sleeping on a park bench because we shot outside.
That.
You know, so like hearing all of that, you know what I'm saying? That those memories are there with you, and they stay. I want to, you know, put that with her, and also, I'm definitely going to be inspired by your father's MO and fuck waiting on lines. You know what I'm saying? We too cool for that.
We ain't doing all that.
Listen,
we ain't
man,
doing all that shit.
Nah, man. The Amish podcast is about to open doors. We're gonna use Tamika's influence. We gonna go to the top.
But for sure, man. For sure, Tamika, you are someone that we deem of high value. So and that's why whenever a good idea or someone I feel like is dope comes across, I always send them your way. Say, yo, check it out. You know, take a look at it. And really appreciate, you know, you being around and just being supportive of us, because it means a lot to have you on our corner, you know.
Oh, thank you, guys.
Family.
Seriously.
Don't make me cry. Look.
No.
Come on, no. Not tonight. That's the wine. That ain't us. That's that wine.
No, not yet. Not yet.
L.
Maybe after.
That's that. Yeah, there we go. Talk that talk.
See?
That L. That's that Celtic L coming on the way.
Listen. If any time I'm on a roof of Brooklyn, it's this series. Take care of Boston. You know what I'm saying? God damn. I'm rooting for y'all. Look, I got
you missed dinner. You're gonna miss the next one too, just for that.
Oh man, I'm gonna be eating takeout.
Hold up, ho. Wait a minute. How you talking smack about the Celtics and you got a whole shamrock on your shirt, son?
Because
what's up with that?
First of all, I wanted
today?
I wanted to make you feel comfortable. All right, you know what I'm saying? No, because this shirt, you know, our flagship store is on the border of the Bronx and Yonkers in an area called Katona, which is like super duper Irish. So we tapped in with that community and we wanted to, like, you know, show love to them. So every St. Patrick's Day, we make commemorative apparel that kind of supports you know.
I went with a gentleman's shirt.
He went with the.
I hear you.
I went with a gentleman's shirt.
Wait,
you know?
Does it say "Gangsters Buy Flowers"?
No, I think that's an A-Life
t-shirt. It's an A-Life t-shirt.
Oh, it is an A-Life t-shirt.
Shout out to Chris Vidal. He gave it to me. I stole it from him.
I'm not gonna show you mine because it's not good.
It's a Celtic shirt.
It's not. It says, "Here, look."
Oh shit.
Day drinker.
Yeah.
Did you have that on since earlier?
I need one of those.
I did. I put it on because we had office happy hour today, and I was like, I guess I could fit in with the punch, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of that, we in June we going out for another one. So let's do that.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to go back to the same spot?
I don't know. We pick another place. We bring Justin and Allison with it. All the same place. I don't care.
I feel like we have to bring them.
Yeah.
I feel like we have to bring them to see Maddie first. Maddie is like the.
All right, cool. Oh yeah, let's plug.
I need the experience.
Maddie's in the book. That's how I met Maddie.
All right. Yeah.
That's dope.
So shout out to Maddie at the.
Oh, Da Toscano.
Da Toscano.
So hold on, just so we could, like, the people know, right? The book releases when?
January 2022.
Okay, January 2022.
But it's on pre-order now, and we're probably gonna go into probably marketing in the next few months. So everyone thinks like you write a book and it comes out the day that you finish it, like when you submit it, oh, the book is done. But it's really a whole backdoor process to writing a book.
You gotta roll it out, right?
Right. So even though it's potentially done, we just finished another round. Editor done, all that stuff is done, but it has to be printed. You have to get galley copies. You know, there's a whole process that goes with that. So yeah.
Well, I'm gonna pre-order it today.
Yeah, I'm pre-ordering and need mine signed.
And when we done with this is gonna be on a YouTube page and everything. I'm gonna put the pre-order link in the you know.
Oh, thank you.
Of course, man.
Black Mixcellence.
That's right.
Now, do you have some drink recipes in there too? Like you have some drink recipes in there, right? For us to steal from the book. Is there one or two?
There's 80. There's a lot. There's like 80 plus recipes in the book. Okay. So the book is actually like recipe book, but in the beginning it's some history. In the back it's profiles of the new mixologists, and then in the middle it's recipes that they created. Some of the recipes are an ode to Tom Bullock. And my mixer, who's Colin, who works for Bacardi, he put some recipes in there as well.
So
all right. Yeah, I gotta make you a Moscow Mule. For sure. It's
stuff that you can actually make at home. It's not like crazy shit that you need like a crane and, you know. Because sometimes you read recipes and you're like, what?
They have the fires, the blowtorch, the gold,
Wait,
we do have
one. We do have one that requires a bubble gun, a smoke gun, but you don't have to do that one.
You don't have me burn my kitchen.
Their drinks are different out here now. They have volcanoes, all kind of shit going on.
I'm good with an old fashioned or some kind of basic.
Yeah,
what's your favorite cocktail?
What's my favorite cocktail?
I'm a Moscow
like a mule
for me. I'm a Moscow Mule, preferably with Tito's or something like that. If I'm going basics, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, I'm like much to my personality, right? Like I like tequila, salsa, lime. You know what I mean? I just like to keep it simple.
Wow,
now I'm very open.
That's kind of going hard, right? Tequila and seltzer.
Yeah, I'm like, what?
It's a lot of lime.
That's like a drop of water. Tequila and a drop of water.
Tequila, cut it with a little salsa, some lime. But I'm open to a lot of new drinks. You know what I'm saying?
AKA Justin's getting hammered. He's drinking everything.
Justin's
drinking everything.
Drinking everything that's available. You know? So we gotta tap in and we gotta make that dinner situation happen, and then
100%
expand on that. But Tamika, thank you so much for coming on here with us. And I'm glad we finally got to do it. And this won't be the last. We're gonna do it in person, and we're gonna have big production and do it right.
And we are also gonna. I'm gonna need your contact list because there's a couple other women, specifically women that we want to speak to. You know, and I like Carly, like April Walker. I know those that you have good relationships with them, and we would love to talk to them and give them the proper shine that they deserve too, because just like yourself, they've done a lot for the community that we are a part of, and they deserve that same shine. You know?
No, got you 100%.
The Amish podcast is all about dope conversations with dope people, but not just somebody that has notoriety or some kind of following. It's about actually giving back to something that's important and contributing to the bigger picture. And that's what you do, and we really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you guys.
Follow her if you're not, Lady Blogger BL.
Yeah, don't be on her timeline with no bullshit, because she's gonna serve you too.
That's a fact, and block you too, because I don't got no time for that shit.
Hey.
Oh yeah, Lady Blocker, aka Lady Blogger, aka Lady Blocker.
You know what's funny? I was looking at my block list today. There's really like 200 people, like 200, well, maybe more than that. And I was like, this is really too much. Like you.
It's why I don't think I blocked anybody. But then again, I have no presence. No presence. I be minding my business.
No, I just be like, a lot of the time it's people with like fake accounts that come and look, but other times it's really people that just have no kind of like home training.
Man,
Just like,
opinion
who raised
givers.
you? Do you think I really have time? No.
Habitual opinion givers. Like nobody asked you.
Yeah, I found the password to my sleeper Twitter account, and I used to go to Twitter jail a lot back in the day. So I had like an alternate, like people have like burner accounts.
Sure.
Yeah, I haven't been in jail in a minute, so I'm doing a lot better than I was.
You had a Kevin Durant burner account.
That's evolution right there.
Right? I feel like I've grown.
Well, yeah, man. Tamika, thank you. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate
Thank you for having me. I feel like we need to do this again with mixologists and the book and some kind of venue, like some kind of something.
We'll do it in person.
We'll do it in person.
And we'll have a few drinks at the same while we do it.
Yeah, and we'll make it a big production.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Sure. And just if you want to do a documentary, I feel like
I know who the person to call.
Let's go.
We me and John been working on this documentary for a while now, and we want to do a series and a whole bunch of stuff related around our upbringing in the area of Yonkers and the neighboring city of Mount Vernon and New Rochelle, and all the contributors to the culture of hip hop. And because we just been around it, you know what I'm saying? I mean, if y'all know us, y'all know we told us shit over and over, you know what I mean? But it's the truth. And much like you said, like Far Rockaway, we dubbed the name like the sixth borough of hip hop, those areas because of the contributions of Heavy D, Pete Rock, Brand Nubian, Mary J, Locks, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? But yes, I would love to have any kind of input and help that you could bring. It would be an honor. We would appreciate it.
No, you need to get that. I like the sound of that documentary. Is cool. Come on, son, get it done.
I will. And I'm gonna definitely tap in and ask for any help that you willing to share.
Right. As long as you know what, as long as the Celtics lose, anything's possible.
Shut up. You know what?
All right, John. Let's leave on a good note. Tamika, thank you for being the first woman on the Amish podcast. We pay homage to you. You deserve it.
Thank you.
Definitely do. And we're gonna catch up sooner than later. For sure.
Heard you. Let's sync the schedule so we could get back in the restaurant.
We out here.
Real soon, for sure. Peace, y'all.
Peace.
Bye.